The twin suns of Zorath hung low in the sky, casting an amber glow over the dense jungle. Kael'thar, a seasoned Vulri warrior, moved silently through the underbrush, his scaled skin glistening with a faint iridescent sheen. His sharp, slit-pupiled eyes scanned the environment, his forked tongue flicking out occasionally to taste the air. The Vulri were apex predators of their world, revered for their strength, agility, and unmatched hunting prowess. Kael'thar had faced many dangers in his life, giant serpentine beasts, swarms of venomous insects, and even rival Vulri clans, but nothing could have prepared him for what he was about to witness. He had been tracking a strange signal for days, a disturbance in the natural order of the jungle. The Vulri had long known of other sentient species in the galaxy, but they rarely ventured this deep into Zorath's wilderness. The signal led him to a clearing where he saw it, a human. Humans were not unknown to the Vulri. They were a species often dismissed as weak, fragile, and overly reliant on technology. Kael'thar had heard stories of their exploits, but he had never encountered one in the flesh. This human, however, was unlike anything he had imagined. The man was tall, with a muscular build, his skin tanned and scarred from countless battles. He wore a simple outfit of durable fabric, and a strange device was strapped to his wrist. But what caught Kael'thar's attention was what the human was doing. In the center of the clearing lay the carcass of a Zorathian apex predator, a Thal'kra, a massive, six-legged beast with razor-sharp claws and a hide so thick it could deflect plasma fire. The Thal'kra was feared by all, even the Vulri. Yet here it was, dead, and the human was calmly cutting strips of meat from its flank with a crude blade. He was eating it. Kael'thar's mind reeled. The Thal'kra was not just an apex predator, it was a symbol of power and dominance. To kill one was a feat worthy of song and legend. To eat one? Unthinkable. The Vulri revered such creatures, believing their spirits held great power. Consuming their flesh was taboo, a desecration of the natural order. The human paused, sensing he was being watched. He turned, his piercing blue eyes locking onto Kael'thar's. For a moment, neither moved. Then the human smiled, a gesture Kael'thar recognized as non-threatening, though it still unnerved him. "You gonna stand there all day, or are you gonna join me?" the human asked, his voice deep and gravelly. He spoke in Galactic Common, a language Kael'thar understood but rarely used. Kael'thar stepped into the clearing, his movements deliberate and cautious. You killed the Thal'kra?" he asked, his voice tinged with disbelief. The human shrugged, as if it were nothing. "Yeah. Took a bit of work, but it was either him or me. Figured I'd make the most of it." Kael'thar's mind raced. How could this human, this seemingly fragile creature, defeat a Thal'kra? And why would he consume its flesh? The Vulri warrior's instincts screamed at him to attack, to defend the honor of the fallen beast, but something held him back. Curiosity? Respect? He wasn't sure. "What is your name, human?" Kael'thar asked, his tone more measured now. "Name's Jax," the human replied, taking another bite of the Thal'kra meat. "And you?" "Kael'thar of the Vulri," he answered, his chest puffing slightly with pride. "You are unlike any human I have heard of." Jax chuckled, a deep, rumbling sound. "Yeah, I get that a lot. So, what brings you out here, Kael'thar?" "You lost." "I was tracking a disturbance," Kael'thar said, his eyes narrowing. "I did not expect to find a human feasting on a Thal'kra." Jax raised an eyebrow. "You guys don't eat these things?" "Tastes pretty good, if you ask me." Kael'thar's scales bristled. "The Thal'kra is sacred. To kill one is a great honor. To consume its flesh is unthinkable." Jax leaned back, studying the Vulri warrior. "Sacred, huh? Guess that explains the look on your face." Sorry if I offended you, but out here, you eat what you can. Survival's the only thing that matters." Kael'thar was silent for a moment, processing the human's words. Survival. It was a concept he understood well, but the Vulri had always balanced survival with respect for the natural order. This human seemed to operate by a different set of rules. "You are different," Kael'thar said finally. "I have never seen a human like you." Jax grinned. "Yeah, well, I'm not your average human. Been out here on my own for a while now. Learned a thing or two about surviving in places like this." Kael'thar nodded slowly. "Perhaps there is much I could learn from you, Jax." The human's grin widened. "Stick around, and maybe I'll teach you a thing or two. But fair warning, I don't do well with rules or traditions." Kael'thar hesitated. This human was an enigma, a being who defied everything he thought he knew about the universe. But there was something about Jax, a raw, untamed strength, that intrigued him. Perhaps, he thought, there was more to this human than met the eye. For days, Kael'thar followed Jax through the jungle, observing his methods and learning from his experiences. The human's resourcefulness was astounding. He could fashion tools from seemingly nothing, track prey with uncanny precision, and navigate the treacherous terrain with ease. But what struck Kael'thar the most was Jax's fearlessness. He faced every challenge head-on, never backing down, never showing fear. One evening, as they sat by a campfire, Kael'thar finally asked the question that had been burning in his mind. "Jax, why do you do this? Why live out here, alone, when you could return to your people?" Jax stared into the flames, his expression unreadable. "My people, they don't understand me. Never have. Out here, I'm free. No rules, no expectations. Just me and the wild." Kael'thar nodded, understanding more than he let on. The Vulri were a proud and rigid society, bound by tradition and honor. But Kael'thar had always felt a restlessness within him, a desire to break free from the constraints of his culture. Perhaps, he thought, Jax was not so different from him after all. As the days turned into weeks, the two formed an unlikely bond. Kael'thar taught Jax about the Vulri ways, their history, and their connection to the natural world. In return, Jax showed Kael'thar a different way of life, one of freedom, adaptability, and unyielding determination. But their partnership was not without its challenges. One fateful day, they encountered a rival Vulri clan, one that saw Kael'thar's association with a human as a betrayal of their kind. A fierce battle ensued, and though Kael'thar and Jax fought valiantly, they were outnumbered. As Kael'thar lay wounded, his strength fading, Jax stood over him, his body battered but his spirit unbroken. "You're not dying on me, Kael'thar," Jax growled, his voice filled with determination. "Not today." With a strength born of sheer willpower, Jax lifted Kael'thar onto his shoulders and carried him to safety. It was a feat that defied logic, a testament to the human's indomitable spirit. In the days that followed, as Kael'thar recovered, he realized something profound. Jax was more than just a human, he was a force of nature, a being who embodied the very essence of survival. And in him, Kael'thar saw a reflection of his own potential, a path to a life beyond the constraints of tradition. When Kael'thar finally returned to his clan, he was a changed Vulri. He carried with him the lessons he had learned from Jax.